Senior Western Showmanship. First three to work will be Emma Saplicki, Samantha Logan, and Eliza Schranz.
Milk for Health presents the Western New York Youth in Ag Bonanza, live to you at home, where youth from the 8 counties of Western New York will compete in livestock judging and showmanship in various categories. Live from the Showplex on the Erie County Fairgrounds in Hamburg, New York, Milk for Health presents the Western New York Youth in Ag Bonanza.
Hey everybody, John DeShula with you live from the Showplex in Hamburg, New York with Brian Beaver. He's back as our co-host. Brian was with us on a previous web stream. Brian, welcome back to the Western New York Youth and Ag Bonanza.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, now Brian, you represent a company called Blue Seal, and tell us what that's all about.
Well, Blue Seal is a northeastern regional company that sells horse feed and all other species of feed as well, and we have dealers throughout the country.
All right, we're going to stand for the national anthem.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars
We'll be starting this morning with our Western Senior Showmanship. We'll be looking to start with Emma Saplicki. On deck will be Samantha Logan, followed by Eliza Schranz. Your judge today is Mr. Robert Duke Dygert.
All right, so Brian, we are excited to be here and actually excited to have you back because of your expertise in the animal feed. You mentioned Blue Seal as a company that gets involved with horse feed, and we have a lot of obviously beautiful horses here today, and we're live in the Showplex in Hamburg, New York, and we're going to start now with our first exhibitor. And what we're going to watch today, Brian, in the senior Western showmanship class, a lot of the same exhibitors who were here yesterday in the English class, but a little different in the way it's presented, Western, not only in look, but there's some nuances in how the horses are going to be shown, right?
Yes, very much so. There's a lot of dual-purpose animals out there that can do both disciplines, Western and English, and today is the Western classes, so you'll see some of the English horses that didn't do quite as well yesterday might, do a lot better today in these situations, so I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yeah, and we had a good day Friday, if you were here live watching, or if you watched the feeds that are posted on Ustream. The judge is Duke Dygert, who was here yesterday, and he's taking a look at the horses. And, of course, in the showmanship, we're looking at how the exhibitor is showing the horse, not so much the animal itself.
Correct.
in the first part of this. But the exhibitor, in addition to having the look, the Western look, they also have to keep that animal clean and groomed and in control during the paces that they're put through here.
Correct.
Thank you,
Judge
Emma.
Deiger.
Next to work will be back number 60, Samantha Logan of Eden, New York.
So that was Emma Saplicki, who just kicked us off today with
65
So
and in
Magical.
holdback 67.
Now Samantha Logan is next up on our list here from Eden, New York, and her horse is Sierra's Gold Card.
Yep, Mr. Deiger here is judging off of the showmanship of the individual. The horse has a lot to do with it, but he's judging the ability of the exhibitor at this point. So he is just checking the positioning as he goes around the horse like that. As you can see how she's changing from side to side.
Yeah, we noticed
when
that
he inspects
yesterday,
that.
and I thought that was an interesting piece of information that I didn't know, that the exhibitor has to cross in front from side to side and lead the horse from the left.
Yes. Yep. Ultimately, you want to exhibit the horse and show the judge the horse as much as you can, but also keep eye contact with him as much as you can. So positioning is very important in this class.
And we learned yesterday that, at least our guest yesterday, Larry Thurber, had mentioned that the exhibitor needs to always face forward.
Thank you, Samantha.
Mm-hmm.
Next to work will be back number 65, Eliza Strands of Gary, New York. On deck will be Emily Witkowski, and in the hole, Aaron Hayes.
So we just finished with Samantha Logan, and now Eliza Schrantz from Jerry, New York. As Kirby Dygert mentioned, Kirby, our announcer, who I know Kirby's mic is kind of plugged into our system, so you get a chance to hear the names of the exhibitors, and we'll repeat them, because we know a lot of family members are out there watching live or on the posts that are made on the Ustream feed. And the Western show here, Brian, is, to me, more of an Americana feel, because you have the typical Western hat. I've got my crazy hat on, but the interesting looks that these exhibitors have with their sparkled shirts and their Western jeans and the Western boots, and the boots themselves of the exhibitor have to be cleaned and polished as well.
Yeah, absolutely. They're made out of leather most of the time, and the outfits go in trends just like any other fashion. And the sparkles are definitely in for this year. So.
I can see so a little bit of sparkles, but that makes for a show.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So what's Duke looking for right now with the exhibitor, in addition to the animal itself?
He's just seeing how she positions herself as he walks around. He's also seeing how they move throughout the ring when they ask him to walk and jog and back in this particular pattern. So each pattern's a little bit different, and each class will be a little bit different as well.
Thank you, Eliza. Next to work will be back number 67, Emily Witkowski of Boston, New York. On deck will be Aaron Hayes, and in the hole will be Gabrielle Marchetti.
So we thank Eliza Schrantz from Jerry, and now Emily Witkowski from Boston coming in. And Emily's horse is named Yucca Poco Bonanza, and Eliza's horse name was Zipson's Betty Bright. I'm amazed at the names of these horses. Usually one name is good, but these horse names carry over, and there's always a story, I'm sure, to why the horse is named what it is.
Yeah, and a lot of registries you can't have the same name registered.
So they have to be really unique.
Yeah, they have to be absolutely unique. So they have to be creative when they're naming their foals when they're born and getting registered.
This horse seems to be agreeing with everything, just shaking its head up and down. We noticed the horses yesterday pretty much all even-tempered. There were a few there was one that decided maybe didn't want to be in the ring, and they took it out. And the other horses, sometimes would follow the commands. As we go through the show today, you'll see different stages of horse showing, and some of that includes the horses trotting and walking and halting, and whether or not they're able to do all of that.
Thank you, Emily.
Yeah, for the most
Next to
part,
work will
these
be
show
back number
horses.
119, Aaron Hayes of Holland, New York. On deck will be Gabrielle Marchetti, and in the hole, Megan Stang.
So we thank Emily Witkowski for her showing, and now Aaron Hayes from Holland with her horse Designed by Version.
So for the most part, these horses are show horses, and they travel just like any other form of livestock. So they get used to doing activities like this and working with their exhibitors day after day. They build a relationship. So these, for the most part, they're very well behaved. They have bad days just like anyone or any species.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're very even tempered for the most part.
I noticed yesterday with some of the horses, like you said, who are shown quite frequently, they'll hear the announcers make a command, and the horse will respond to the command that they hear. Canter was the one that, the horse was coming in front of our TV announce booth here, and Kirby said Canter, and the horse took right to it. The exhibitor didn't even have to make any movement. So it was interesting, you're right, that they get acclimated to what this is because they're shown. Although this year, not so much, because shows are not being held due to all the restrictions.
Exactly, and that's what I was going to say. If you did see any act up yesterday, it might have been the fact that it was their first time out this year and they're still getting used to things. But we're very fortunate to be here this weekend.
We certainly are. Kirby will thank our entrant here.
Thank you, Aaron. Next to work will be back number 125, Gabrielle Marchetti of Lockport, New York. On deck will be Megan Stang, and in the hole, Taylor Finnerty.
So we thank Erin Hayes and her horse designed by Version, Gabrielle Marchetti from Lockport. Name of Gabrielle's horse is Potential Chocolate. And some of these horses were here, most of the ones we've seen now, were here yesterday, presented in a different way. I noticed, sometimes with the turns, sometimes the horses are completely compliant, other times not so much.
Yeah, it's a difficult task for him to ask. So it really shows the talent of the horse and the exhibitor. We were talking yesterday about other species of livestock, and typically you only show them for a year or two, but some of these ones have been shown for 10 or 15 years,
right.
And they know the process. They've been here before, and they really get the hang of it.
And if a farm or a family have several horses, you pick one that's going to be the show horse, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there might be multiple show horses, but for the most part, one person gets one horse, and that's your partner for sometimes a year, other times it's 10 or 20 years even.
Yeah, and the horse can be there for show, for riding.
Absolutely. There's all different aspects you can have with horses. Like I have a horse at home, and she's just out with my miniature donkeys and good companion horses.
Thank you, Gabrielle. Next to work will be back number 167, Megan Stang of Perrysburg, New York. On deck, Taylor Finnerty. And in the hole, Brianna Warner.
So we thank Gabrielle and her horse, and now we welcome Megan Stang, as Kirby mentioned, from Perrysburg. Megan's horse is Zip to Conclusions. So you have a donkey that is little baby donkeys that are happy to be with the horse, and the horse happy to have the donkey with them.
Yep. Donkeys and horses are both companion animals that just enjoy to be together. So
we saw that earlier here. We saw a donkey coming around with a horse.
Yep, I was speaking with them yesterday, and that's what they were specifically here for, to be friends and buddies. And, a lot of times it's just like anything else, just a little bit of a stress relief.
How many horses do you have, Brian?
I have two. One's a show horse and one's a companion horse, like I was just talking about.
Gotcha. So you've shown your horse just like these exhibitors are doing here today.
Mm-hmm. I actually grew up doing this style of showing.
The Western style.
Yeah, and then as time went on, I was still doing Western discipline, but it was reining horses, so it's a little bit different aspect that you won't see here today.
Western showmanship class is sometimes called fitting in showmanship, showmanship in hand, and showmanship at halter, or halter showmanship. Why the difference in names?
For the most part, they're the same. It's just strictly a different name.
Yeah.
But there are halter classes that would look similar to this. It's just they're judging the horse rather than the exhibitor.
Kirby will thank our entrant here.
Thank you, Megan. Next to work will be back number 189, Taylor Finnerty of Clarence Center, New York. On deck, Brianna Warner, and in the hole, Samantha Syracuse.
So we thank Megan Stang, and now we welcome Taylor Finnerty, as Kirby mentioned, from Clarence, and the horse here, I'm All Good.
I like this one's name.
Yeah, I noticed the horse came front a little bit and then walked backwards, which we hadn't seen the other horses do.
I think that's more of a preference for the exhibitor to get them into a proper backing stage.
I noticed on the horse, you see the color of the hoof on the right foot is dark and yet white everywhere else.
Mhm.
It's interesting, the coloration.
Oh yeah, you can get all different kinds of colors, single socks or multiple socks, or that's one good thing about horses is you can get them all colors and sizes.
Well, and they'll all be here today. This is the last day of the Western New York Youth and Ag Bonanza. And as Brian mentioned, we haven't had any shows really going on across most of the country due to the COVID restrictions, but Jessica Underberg and her team here figured it out, and we thank everybody for their participation in the strict rules to have our masks and face coverings and temperature checks. Kirby will thank our entrant here.
Thank you, Taylor. Next to work, we'll be back number 214, Brianna Warner of Frewsburg, New York. On deck, Samantha Syracuse, and in the hole, our final horse of this class, Sarah Cox.
So Brianna coming in from Frewsburg, and the name of the horse here, Good on the Rocks. So Brian, you've been here all week then? You haven't left West New York?
I went home in the middle of the week.
Oh, in the middle of the week,
Yep.
okay. Because you're
I came up
in
here
Pennsylvania.
Thursday to help check horses in, but yeah.
How's the family back at home?
Good.
Did they
Good.
watch your big performance last week on the web stream?
I showed them a little part of it.
Of course you did.
Yeah, when we said hello to them, and they really thought that was great.
That's right, because you have young children.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a 4 and a 2-year-old, so that was great for them to see. They enjoyed it.
So Duke coming out, Duke Dygert and the family, the Dygert family, so deeply rooted with the fair and 4-H and ag and animals. Duke's daughter Kirby, as we mentioned, is the announcer, and Duke himself, you know, just one of those iconic. He just has that look, you know, that iconic look of being someone you would see at a show like this, being a horse judge.
He
And
sure does.
He's been showing horses all his life, really, and involved in this. So he really, and he's vetted. You know, this is not something where Duke's here because he's connected to the fair. He's here because he knows what he's doing, and I heard from Larry Thurber, you're tested every couple of years on your knowledge of horses.
That is correct,
order
and
to be a
he's judged throughout the country, so he's certainly vetted and has a good ability to judge a show like this.
Thank you, Brian. Next to work, we'll be back number 280, Samantha Syracuse of Alden, New York. And on deck will be our final horse in this class, Sarah Cox.
So Samantha Syracuse coming in with Good Luck Charlie from Alden. Yesterday, Brian, they took some of these showmanship divisions and they split them up because there were so many entrants. So we'll see how that plays as we go through the day.
Mm-hmm.
And the showmanship in this particular piece that we're looking at, you know, as we mentioned, the horse itself is not judged, but the exhibitor, you know, with that halter and the bridle, you know, and how they're leading it around and the proper stance, all of that being judged today.
Yep, and you can see that she's setting them up just by that lead, moving those feet, just by tapping on their halter the slightest bit, and they'll move those feet and get set up in a perfect position for Duke to inspect. And yeah, it's quite impressive actually that the slightest little movements there teaches them to move their feet like that.
So you've trained your show horse. How long did it take you to train your horse to do certain things?
Different horses pick up at different times. Typically a year or two to get them really refined. but you start at a young age, usually 2 or 3 years old, and then just keep working with them until they get it, and eventually they become seasoned veterans.
Yeah, that's something that we talked about yesterday with Larry as well, that it does take time. These horses have been worked and trained, some of them, as you said, for different shows, but all of them with one single exhibitor.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Samantha. Next to work will be back number 282, our final horse in this class, Sarah Cox of Warsaw, New York. On deck, we will look to start our junior Western Showmanship.
So Sarah's coming in with her horse, Awesome Artist, from Wyoming County. We should mention all the 8 counties of Western New York represented in this show. It's the only event happening at the fairgrounds this year. This would have been the last weekend of the traditional Erie County Fair, 181st it would have been. But we'll look forward to that, God willing, next year. So here we see the horse getting into position, and just like you said, a little tap gets the horse in place. Well, you know, the animals that we were judging before, you know, while all interesting and the exhibitor working with them, there's something very special about a horse. It's just an elegant, refined animal, and it's so complex on so many levels because, you know, you're riding it, you're working it, and each horse has its own personality. What are the personalities like of the horses that you have, the two?
Oh, they're
even-tempered,
great,
fun?
great personalities. And you get that in livestock as well, but like you said, there's just something about a horse. I think it's a companion aspect of it that they literally build a bond with you, similar to other pets, like dogs and cats and such. The horses, after spending sometimes years working and building that bond, they'll literally do anything for you.
Thank you, Sarah. That does conclude our senior showmanship this morning. We will get our results in and then get underway with our junior showmanship here in the Showplex. We will need to replace our course before we get started with junior showmanship. There will be 7 to work in that class.
All right, so the judge's assistant is going up to Kirby, and while the judge's assistant is getting up to speed to find out who is going to be given their award, we'll be back in just a little bit, so stay with us one more minute, and then we'll be right back.
Milk and cheese and yogurt make me sing every day, 'cause milk is amazing. Drink milk to grow up with strong bones. 3 times a day, vitamin D and calcium. So drink it with chocolate, put it on your pizza. How about berries? It's always a treat. Milk is amazing.
Show me a fillet, show me a strip, a Russell's cut, a ribeye, or a crab dip. Come dine with me just right. Where would you like to have dinner tonight? Russell's, of course, Russell's, of course. Where would you like to have dinner tonight? Russell's, of course.
Be my guest and let us do the rest.
All right, everybody, we are back, and John DeShula with you with Brian Beaver, and the judge has not announced those who would place in the Senior Western Showmanship that we just saw, but Kirby's getting ready to do that, so let's see what she says.
We have the results of our senior Western Showmanship here at the Western New York Youth in Ag Bonanza. Please be sure to go see Maria at the Outgate for your ribbons and awards. Coming in 5th place in senior showmanship, back number 65, Eliza Strands of Gary, New York, with Zipson's Betty Wright. 4th place will go to Samantha Logan, back number 60 of Eden, New York, with Sierra's Gold Card. 3rd place is going to go to back number 167, Megan Stang of Perrysburg, New York, with Zip to Conclusions. 2nd place in senior showmanship will go to back number 189, Taylor Finnerty of Clarence Center, New York, with I'm All Good. And first place in your senior showmanship is going to go to back number 214, Brianna Warner of Frewsburg, New York, with Good on the Rocks. Congratulations to all of our senior showmanship competitors. In just a minute, we'll get started here with junior showmanship. First three to work will be Kinsey Witherow, Julia Morrow, and Tara Laverne.
All right, so Brian, we had the winner there. Brianna Warner secured the #1 spot in that division with her horse Good on the Rocks. And now we're going to get ready for the junior showmanship. So the age of the exhibitor will change to get a little younger.
Yes,
a little bit.
correct. Junior is a little bit younger, and then they'll change the pattern up a little bit for him too, to not make it easier, but make it a little bit different than the seniorship.
Right, and when we talk about changing the pattern,
This will be final call for all of our
don't want to step on Kirby there.
junior showmanship exhibitors. Kinsey Witherow, Julia Morrow, Tara Laverne, Elena Barber, Allie Stayer, Anderson Cross, and Callie Jordan.
So what they did is inside the arena, they changed the cones. So the one cone you'll see there
First
right
word
near
will be back
the
number
sponsor
14.
logo, that was moved to where the judges were sitting prior, and the judges moved to another part of the ring. And you'll see a difference in how the animals are going to be moved. And like you said, that's based on the age of the exhibitor because they're a little younger and don't have as much experience, particularly when we get to the
First word
novice
will be back
class.
number
It's
14,
less.
Kinsey
Yep.
Witherow of Mayville, New York.
So we're waiting for all of the exhibitors to come in. You know, these animals are here and have been here for the last couple of days, but they're here in these buildings that are next to the showplex. There are so many buildings. And we talked a little bit about the animal itself being moved out of their environment and into someplace new, and whether that impacts them in any way or they just kind of move from place to place. Do you think that is going to play a role today as we see the exhibitors come through?
Yeah, it definitely changes the personality and the mentality of the horse being in a new atmosphere. So for the most part, they're used to it, but there are certain situations where horses don't react badly to it, but won't perform quite to their ability because of it.
Yeah, if they feel there's some noises or, you know, I mean, obviously they realize their environment is different.
Yeah, just like when we travel or stay in a hotel or whatever, it's just not home, so
Yeah.
it's a little bit different.
So this is Kinsey Witherow with Sandhill Hayes is the name of the horse from Mayville, New York. So we noticed in this is it the movement going backwards. Very interesting because they have to train. You have to train the horse to do that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a big animal to be reversing like that, so.
And I questioned why that's important, and I guess because the situation, if the horse is too close to something or it might be in harm's way itself or in harm's way for a person or something, you have to make sure the horse knows how to step out of that situation, right?
Correct. And like a lot of loading onto and off of trailers require reversing like that, so just to help with the safety and the health of the animal and the person that's handling it, it's great. It's a great task for them to know.
So there goes Kinsey. And Kirby will thank Kinsey and get us set for our next entrant.
Thank you, Kinsey. Next work will be back number 140, Julia Morrow of Orchard Park, New York. On deck will be Tara Laverne, and in the hole, Elena Barber.
So Julia's coming in with Marvin. I remember Marvin from yesterday because Marvin is such a beautiful looking horse.
Yes, he's easy to spot out there. He
Yeah.
is a beautiful boy.
Many of the horses we've seen have been darker colored, and you know, this is just an interesting look and so bright. We talked a little bit about the ears yesterday being perked up, happy, and you know, flicking to listen and catch every little thing.
Yeah, they're always at attention, it seems like, so, which is good because it makes them look more appealing as well.
Yeah. So the juniors are here, and they're in the Western Showmanship. Duke Daggert taking a look and seeing. Oh, Marvin is. Marvin doesn't want to stop. Let's see if Marvin is able to make its way to being judged here with the exhibitor. Looks like Julia is just having a little bit of a struggle with Marvin. Not a struggle, but just. And do you think that might just be because Marvin just wants to get out and go?
Yeah, for the most part, he's just probably a little bit uneasy. And he's, like we talked about, in a new atmosphere.
Yeah.
So there might be one of these advertisement banners that he's not keen on, or the fact that the judges are sitting right there. So
Yeah.
he's just getting used to it, and he should get set up here in a second.
Yeah, so there he is. Now he's ready to be stable there. I still do find it interesting why the exhibitor has to cross from side to side. Is that to keep eye contact with the judge, or just to show how they're able to maintain control of the horse on either side?
It's a little bit of both. Ultimately, you want to keep an eye on the judge for his safety, as well as the showmanship aspect of exhibiting. And you also want to be able the judge to see the entire animal. So if you're standing in between the judge and the horse, then you're going to be blocking part of that. So.
And Marvin enjoys he's a mover. That
Yes,
Marvin.
he is.
wants to
Yeah.
move.
Thank you, Julia. Next to work will be back number 188, Tara Laverne of Little Valley, New York. On deck will be Elena Barber, and in the whole alley stare.
So Tara's coming in from Little Valley with electric checks, and Tara here yesterday, and horse is a little smaller than we've seen in some of the other entrants.
Mm-hmm. Especially yesterday with those English horses, some of them get to be quite large.
Yeah.
In general, Western horses are a little smaller statured. You do get some big ones out there depending on their breed or how their ancestry is, but for the most part, electric checks here is about an average size Western horse.
Seems to be following all the commands from Tara pretty well to back up. Reverse, is that what you would call it?
Reverse,
Yeah.
correct.
And the grooming of the animal, even though it's not being judged, it's very important that these exhibitors have to work hard to keep these animals clean, particularly the hoofs and having
Absolutely.
the
You can
manes
almost see a
braided.
nail polish on them in that shot.
Yeah.
The hooves are really glistening, and they put, just like anything, they give them baths before the show and get them shined up and put certain conditioning supplements on them to make them shiny. So.
Yeah, I was reading that in the care of a horse, you don't want to. The soap can sometimes be a problem. The horse can get a little allergic or have a reaction if you over soap the horse.
And a lot of times it's difficult for people to get the soap out of the horses, because just like shampoo and humans, I mean, it takes a little bit of time to get all that stuff out. So if you cut a corner a little bit and don't get all that soap out, it will result in skin conditions and dandruffs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely important to clean them thoroughly, and not every day, but often.
Yeah, you want to have to keep a clean environment.
Right.
Kirby will thank our entrant here, and we'll get ready for our next entrant coming in. Sure we have the number proper on the contestant here. Looks like 199 to me. Does it look like 199 to you, Brian?
It did.
Yeah, because my eyes are older than yours.
That doesn't mean they're better.
Yeah. So this is Elena Barber with her horse Lookaways on the mark. And Tara Laverne was in here prior. So Elena is from Sardinia, New York. And we have the names of the horses, but we don't have the ages of the horses. And you had mentioned, Brian, that some horses might be showing for several years. Some might be first time out.
Yep.
So difficult to maybe gauge, or maybe not to you because you're an expert in this, but the age of the horses that we're seeing here today.
Yeah, it is difficult. Sometimes you can get it just off of like your gut feeling, but oftentimes, it's just like judging the age of a human. You can be completely wrong. So we don't have the ages. I wish we did, because it does tell a lot about the horse. If it's a young horse, and even an older horse, it's quite impressive that they're still doing so well at that age. So that would be interesting to see what the age of this guy is.
So Elena working now to reverse her horse, look aways on the marks, and then Judge Duke Daggert will come up and take a look at the exhibitor and how they're handling the horse.
The backing seems to be the most difficult task in this pattern, and doing the turn as well makes it interesting, because a lot of people can back them in a straight line, but doing a turn in that circle like that is quite difficult.
We talked yesterday about the animals sort of being a herd animal. They like to be with other horses.
Mm-hmm.
They like to be together. So Duke is looking, checking, gives the nod. And now Elena is making her way around the arena. We're using the whole arena from the showplex, unlike the last couple of weekends.
That's
Thank
correct.
you, Elena.
Yeah.
Next to work will be back number 202, Allie Stayer of Olean, New York. On deck, Anderson Cross, and in the hole, our final horse of the class, Callie Jordan.
So Allie is coming in from Olean with a long, hot summer day. And we've had a few of those this summer. But today is pretty here at the Showplex in Hamburg.
We've been very fortunate with the weather here the last couple of weekends. It's beautiful.
Because we talked about that with some of the other animals. The heat is the heat. You don't want to be uncomfortable. But it's a pretty comfortable day here, and certainly inside the Showplex. And we're in Hamburg, New York. If you're watching us on Ustream or WBBZ.TV, we're at the Erie County Fairgrounds. It's the last day of the Western New York Youth and Ag Bonanza. We've been here for the last several weekends. And you'll see our sponsors, including Russell Steaks, Chops and More, Clyde's Feed, Milk for Health, our presenting sponsor, and then Evans Bank, and some of the other sponsors on the bottom of the screen have been with us to present this to you, including Tractor Supply and Walsh Duffield Companies. These are the people that are supporting the youth of Western New York, because their support financially has been able to build this team here, build the staff, make sure that everybody is in place to get this done.
The sponsorships are certainly huge, and when doing an event like this, it helps with a lot of things.
Yeah, Lindy, the former Praxair, you see the banner there. So here comes our entrant, making the final trot.
Thank you, Allie. Next to work will be back number 206, Anderson Cross of Forestville, New York. And on deck will be the final horse of the class, Callie Jordan.
So Anderson,
Novice showmanship, you will be up next.
So Anderson Cross coming up next from Chautauqua with numero uno.
He must be number one.
Must be number one, numero uno. And as we mentioned, the novice is coming up next, which we had yesterday in the English class. Oh, the horse makes a almost spot-on stop there. So you're right about the colors on the hoofs and the socks, you call them?
Yep. They come in all sorts of sizes. Some of them go up higher on the leg. Others stay down low towards the hoof.
This looks like that horse has an even Steven pair of socks on every leg.
Yeah, he's a beautiful horse.
And the tail is groomed perfectly too. Cut right in the mane. You see how the mane along the neck there is groomed as well.
Mm-hmm.
All of it a part of it, not judged in this showmanship. The exhibitors being judged, but certainly adds to the elegance of the show when you see how beautiful the animal is.
Yeah, it helps because it shows that the exhibitor took the time to groom and handle the animal. So Duke is taking that into account, the cleanliness and the grooming of the horse, but it's not exactly what he's focusing on.
Yeah.
So all that bling, even on the halter there, you see a little bit of the silver that is showing off.
Mhm.
It just helps with the showmanship aspect of it.
Now these are 4-H'ers, and these are young people who are exhibiting. And there are different classes of horse shows, right, Brian? So it's not just 4-H'ers that show horses. There are horse owners and trainers that exhibit across the country, shows that maybe would be happening this year.
Correct. There's 4-H. We call them local, regional, and country shows, and there are all sorts of shows, from youth and 4-H to open shows, which would include non-pro and professionals. Non-pros are typically horse owners that aren't paid to be
Thank you,
trainers.
Anderson.
And then pros.
Next
are
to work will be our
obviously
final horse
paid.
in the class, back number 251, Callie Jordan of Olean, New York. After this class, we will reset our course and get started with novice showmanship.
So to explain that again, you have the 4-H'ers,
Mhm.
owners, professionals.
For the most part,
Yeah.
yes. I would say most horse owners are not professionals. That's just an assumption. But those horse owners a lot of times need to resource trainers that are professionals to help them out with showing or training their horse. So when you have an owner that wants to show in a class like this, they would be considered a non-pro, but still in an open class of showing because they're not a youth anymore. And during those same shows, a lot of times there will be another class called open that the professionals would show in and exhibit those horses at a higher level against stricter competition.
Right. And then, which makes sense because the owner would be the owner. And then the individual he or she assigns to help is the one that would show the animal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, it's just like baseball and then different leagues or any other sport for that matter.
Yeah. Kirby coming out now and taking a look at Kaylee Jordan from Olean with her horse Jesse's Memory. Entrant number 251. We welcome you on WBBC.TV if you're watching the stream, or the Ustream feed that the Western New York Youth and Ag Bonanza and our friends at the Erie County Agricultural Society are providing. And maybe you're watching us live. It's about 9:45 on Saturday. Or maybe you're watching us on the feed that's posted and enjoying the show and watching some of the exhibitors who might be family. We welcome all the families because they're not able to be here, Brian, and that's unfortunate this year, but they're able to see it on the feed, and that's a good thing. Were you just giving some notes there, Brian? What do we got?
Yeah, we had the placings from the first class.
Thank you, Callie.
Great.
That does conclude our junior showmanship. We will get the results in here in just a moment. We are going to reset our cones to start our novice showmanship here in just a minute.
All right, so we're going to take a break while we get a chance to find out who the showings are going to be and the juniors. We'll be back from the West New York Youth and Ag Bonanza right after this.
On behalf of all your Western New York dairy farmers, we assure you that our job has not changed. We are still caring for our animals as we do every day, and we are still producing a clean and healthy product that you can feel safe serving to your families. All the dairy products that reach your table are also on our own family table, never touched by human hands, and from the farm to the grocery store within 48 hours, 365 days a year, through calm or chaos. We promise.
We'll get a chance to know each other live. Here we are. We are back live from the Showplex in Hamburg, New York. We're at the Western New York Youth and Ag Bonanza. And Kirby Dygert is going to give us the results in the last class that we saw, which was the junior showmanship. And while we're waiting for that, we just want to reiterate. Oh, here comes Kirby.
The results are in for our junior showmanship class. Coming in 5th place will be back number 14, Kinsey Witherow of Mayville, New York, with Sandhill Hayes. If you can please go see Maria at the exit gate to collect your ribbons and awards. 4th place will go to back number 202, Allie Stayer of Olean, New York, with A Long Hot Summer Day. 3rd place is going to go to back number 251, Callie Jordan of Olean, New York, with Jesse's Memory. 2nd place will go to back number 188, Tara Laverne of Little Valley, New York, with Electric Checks. And 1st place in your junior showmanship is going to go to back number 206, Sanderson Cross of Forestville, New York, with Numero Uno.
All right, so we are back now, and Beth Lake is joining us as our co-host. Beth, welcome to the webcast.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Where
Good
am I
morning.
looking?
We're looking
There we
right
go.
over
We're
there.
looking
Look at
over
that.
here.
That's your camera, Beth. That's it.
Well, there
Just
was
use that mic loud and proud.
Okay,
please.
there was no like glam team, so I was confused.
Well, you know, I've not suffered from the glam team yet. but,
Okay, so yeah, excited to be here. This is exciting that they were able to pull this off and get these 4-H kids out here. You know, they work so hard all year.
Yeah, all year. And we're going to go through the names of the entrants that we
Okay.
just got to make sure everybody's all set. This is in the junior class that we just saw.
Yep.
Number 5, Kinsey Witherow with her horse Sandhill Hayes from Mayville. Number 4 was Allie Stayer with A Long Hot Summer Day from Olean. Number 3, Kaylee Jordan, Jesse's Memory from Olean. Number 2, Tara Lovern with her horse Electric Checks from Little Valley. And the number 1 in that category in the junior was Anderson Cross from Forestville with Numero Uno. We're going to cross into the novice, but you know what? Just before we do anything else, Beth, in the senior division that we
Okay.
just saw, number 5 was Eliza Schrantz
And our
with
novice
Zipson's
showmanship,
Betty
the
Bright.
first 3 to work will be back number 121, Erica Stuse.
Wait for Kirby.
Wait for Curb.
Galvin Nugent and Kylie Rower.
So Eliza Schrantz was number 5. Number 4 in the seniors was Samantha Logan with her horse Sierra's Gold Card from Eden. Number 3 was Megan Stang with Zip to Conclusions from Perrysburg with her horse there. And number 2, Taylor Finnerty, I'm All Good from Clarence Center. And the number 1 show in the Western Showmanship in senior class was Brianna Warner with Good on the Rocks, and she was from Frewsburg, New York. So we just wanted to make sure that we got all the names out. Because
Got all the
those
names
families,
so all the families could
Yeah.
see what they're doing. I
Number
think that's one of the neat
121,
things
Erica
too, is
Stuse
seeing all the
of
different
Boston, New York.
counties here.
they're all over Western New
Yeah,
York
it's
for
awesome.
sure.
Yeah.
And this is Erica Skuse from Boston. Entrant number 121 with her horse Luke at Mayella. And these are the novice entrants. And the judge, Duke Dygert, and his assistant are now back on the other side of the arena. And those horses are going to be judged. The exhibitors are going to be judged with their horses. And the control of the animal is
Yes.
as much a part of it as anything else.
Correct. And this pattern's a little bit different than what the last one was. That's why they switched over. But yeah, it's basically how they get along great with their animal, how the animal listens to them. It is also on cleanliness and grooming and
Yeah, Brian and I were talking about
Yeah.
that before you joined us, and the brushing of even the tail. So Beth, you're joining us here for the first time. You're joining us here for the first time. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I grew up actually in the 4-H horse program.
Go ahead, Beth.
Oh, sorry. I grew up, showing horses in the 4-H program, and then I brought my daughter into it. She actually showed with Kirby. So back in the day, my daughter's now 30, but it's just something I really believe in. These kids have to start somewhere, so this is just a program where they get to learn and grow. And you know, with society now, with so many things, what better way than have a kid in a barn, you know, learning everything about an animal? It teaches them so much, and it teaches them, you know, just respect and work ethic, and just truly believe it. So I was very proud to bring my daughter up into this program.
Oh,
Allegheny,
absolutely.
New York. On deck, Kylie Rower, and in the hole, Taylor Griffin.
So we just saw Eric Escuse from Boston with Luke at Mayella. Now Galvin Nugent is coming in, entrant number 126, with Shawnee Starr from Allegheny. So you mentioned, Beth, that your daughter is a individual who shows horses.
So we still show. We have a half Arab, half quarter horse Western mare that just had a foal this spring. So we now have 2 horses. So she had a colt, and we will continue doing that. Do some shows and just bond with them. But you know,
Tell
it's
us,
just.
Do you own horses, Beth?
Yep. So our mare and our foal we had this year. So, yep.
And how long have you been showing horses?
Oh gosh, my whole life. My parents had a quarter horse breeding farm. So since I could walk. So long time.
You're not that old, Beth.
Well, I'm old. I have a 30-year-old.
There you go. But you're right, the disciplines that these young people have as a result of showing horses and being involved in the whole care and breeding of the animal is very significant.
It's just it's amazing. You know, you can turn on the TV and see so much bad, and you can come here and see so much good. So I just really, you know, and look at this young man. You know, it's good to see a boy into it.
Yeah,
you don't see a lot of boys.
We haven't seen too many boys in the showing today or yesterday.
Yeah.
And Galvin, novice here with Shawnee Starr. Looks like a little short tail there, and there's he's smiling.
So that's an Appaloosa he's showing. So that's a stock horse. Good job, buddy.
Thank you, Galvin.
Yeah,
Next to work will be back number 152,
he's showing an Appaloosa. That's
Kylie
why,
Rower
they
of
tend to have a little
Salamanca,
bit shorter
New
of a
York.
tail.
On deck, back 190, Taylor Griffin, and in the hole, Caden Jordan.
So now it looks like we're coming up with entrant number 152, Kylie Rower. And I remember this horse from yesterday. Beautiful look to the horse.
Yes, beautiful. The whole package looks really nice right there. You know, the horse stops when she stops. I mean, very polite manners on that horse.
And difficult because the age of the novice is obviously, you know, at the beginning of the show horse world, and so they have to make sure that they're able to take extra care. But the horse tends to, for some reason, Beth, it feels like the horse knows that this is a younger person trying to figure it out.
I believe so. You know, there's a big the relationship between the horse and the rider is huge. Mm-hmm. And I do believe it's even with my mare at home. She knows I'm an old lady. She knows my daughter isn't. She's very gentle with me. But yeah, no. And what's nice about novice, we didn't have that growing up in 4-H. This is something they added on. So it's really that in-between walk trot and then going into the junior or senior division. So it's nice that these kids have that next outlet, that they don't have to just be pushed right into that top level, if that makes sense.
It does. And when you say 4-H, you know, so you grew up in the 4-H.
Yeah.
Just like these young people are doing.
Correct.
So all of the things that you learned about animals and agriculture,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure, carry over as life lessons.
Yeah.
Do you just have one daughter that shows horses?
I have a daughter that shows horses, and then I have a son that is in the basketball field, sports field. So, but I laugh about my daughter because she owns her own hair salon now. So we say it's because she did so much braiding during all her
there you
horse
go.
shows.
Of course.
So she made a career out of it, you know?
Yeah, and that's important to note. You could do other things. You don't have to live on a farm to have a horse, and you don't have to live on a farm to be showing horses.
No. And, you know, I think, you know, unfortunately the fair didn't go this year, but I think some of the neatest things about the fair is when the city kids come in and they get to appreciate all this, because they don't get to see it all the time.
On deck, Caden Jordan, and in the hole, Ella Underberg.
So we thank Kylie and Taylor Griffin coming in next from Cuba, New York. Taylor with Pinch My Class. We'll leave it at that for the name of the horse.
I like it. Yeah, I watched yesterday. You guys did a really nice job.
Oh,
It
thanks so
was-
much.
Yeah, big classes too.
A lot, and
Yeah.
our guest yesterday, Larry Thurber, really knew his stuff
Yep.
about horses and showing,
He's
and
just,
had been a judge. Have you
my,
ever judged a show?
I
Beth?
yeah, actually I do. I do judging a lot. Not so much this year, but I've done Wyoming County and Cat County and Chautauqua County and Erie County. So it's I really love judging the kids. I like helping the kids. You know, they really just want to learn, and it's just been for me fulfilling.
So do you have to take the tests that Larry
You
was
know,
talking
I didn't
about?
have to take the test because I only do 4-H and some open shows, but we've shown under Larry. Larry is spectacular. He's a really good judge and just really helpful. So I haven't taken it to that degree because I feel the stress might be a little too much.
Well, the test that he was talking about, when the music comes down, sometimes it's a cue for Kirby.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Kirby will thank our entrant here in just a little bit. He was saying that test is pretty significant.
Yeah, and it should be. You know, it really should be because you're
Thank you, Taylor.
judging people's hobby and
Next,
they're
we're
spending money
back
on
number
it. So
215, Caden Jordan. And on deck will be Ella Underberg.
And, you know, these shows, they can be difficult to judge because there's all breeds, you know, and if you're judging just a breed show like just Arabians or quarter horses, they're all the same, right? If you come here, you got to mix. So you really need to know your stuff.
This is Caden Jordan from Olean, New York, with Nonstop Nimble. What's the name of your horse, Beth?
So her show name is She's a Rising Star. And then her foal that we just had, his barn name is Wally, and he's envisioning stardom. So, yeah.
So these horses have stage names?
Yeah, so
Like television news anchors.
exactly, exactly. I love some of the names too. They're creative.
Yep. Yeah, Brian was saying you don't want to have like a single name that could be duplicated somewhere down the line. You want to make sure that your horse has the most unique name possible.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
they stand out in
Yeah.
the shows and
Although we had a Welch pony growing up, and it was just Goldie.
Goldie.
But he was good. Everyone needs a little pony Goldie, that's for sure.
So Caden's out there now, and he's stepping from side to side.
Yep.
As we've seen.
So, yeah, so Duke is inspecting, so he should be doing his quarters right now and moving along where Duke is. And that horse is, you know, very polite, not moving, just
Yeah.
standing there, listening to his owner, which is great.
Now I'm assuming you know Duke Dygert.
I do,
Yeah.
very well. Fine man in this industry, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Caden's going to pass by the broadcast booth here.
Thank you, Caden. Next to work will be back number 2244, Ella Underberg of Springville, New York.
Yeah, it's just really great seeing these kids come out and be able to do this.
So our next entrant is from Springville.
Now, do you see how that horse just stopped on a dime? when she
Yeah,
stopped?
I noticed that. There were a few other horses that didn't
Yeah,
earlier on.
Totally just listening to his handler.
Is your horse attentive to commands?
Yeah, she really is. She was broke to be like that, so it makes it very comfortable to ride her. It makes it very easy. Yeah. But I often say too, though, if you get a little bit of a challenge, it teaches you a lot of things too, you know. So sometimes a challenge is good.
That's true. So you get a chance to figure out how to control the horse in a situation that might be untenable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because they're not all going to be perfect, right?
Nobody is Beth Lake.
I know.
But,
So I always say the ring manners and watching what's in front of you and behind you and not cutting people off. And, we want it all safe. So you have to learn how to navigate around those situations.
Brian and I talked about, the feet of the horse and the hoofs. In this case, they're,
Yep.
perfect there with the white and the brown color. It's a lot of work, isn't it, Beth?
It is a lot of work. So, yeah, and on the white hoof, you'll never put, like, black hoof polish on it. You can on a black hoof, but on a white hoof, you'll leave it white.
Yeah.
So, and our little foal that was just born has a hoof that's actually half white, half black.
Ah.
So yeah, it's very interesting.
So our entrant here from
That does conclude our novice Western showmanship.
All right, so we're concluding the novice, and they're going to take a look and make some determinations.
After this class, we are going to start our walk, jog, showmanship. We will be replacing our course here and get started with walk, trot, showmanship.
It's amazing to me too. Growing up with Kirby, our kids growing up together.
Yep.
How great she is at this.
She really
Oh
is.
my gosh.
Yeah,
I
she's
texted her
terrific.
last night. I said, your announcing voice is really good.
She is a star, and you're a star,
Yeah.
Beth Blake. And,
Oh, am I a star? See?
You're a star. And there's
Okay,
your
keep
camera right
looking
there.
that way.
We're
Okay.
going to
I
take a
never-
short. We're going to take a short break. How's that?
Okay.
And we're going to be right back
good
right
with it.
after this from the Hamburg Showplex.
Imagine a world without milk. It would be a tragic, tasteless existence. After all, with no cheese, how would anyone know when to smile? With no milk, why would anyone want to? But there is hope. Your Western New York dairy farmers are committed to providing the most wholesome, delicious milk products possible, returning smiles to tables and order in the universe.
So, everyone's okay with a cow in the house?
Milk for Health. The guys with the cows.
Saturday night is movie night on WBBZ TV. The fun starts at 6 p.m. with The Three Stooges. Then at 8, Svengoolie screens the classics.
Kerwin.
And later at midnight, Buffalo Beatniks, Zelda, Bird, and Theo serve up hot coffee and cool movies on Offbeat Cinema.
Keep watching the skies. Keep watching.
And keep watching WBBZ TV, your hometown MeTV station. Channel 67.1 on air and DirecTV, Channel 5 on cable, Fios, and Dish. All right, we are back now, and we are in the Showplex in Hamburg, New York, and we just got the names of the entrants who won in the novice Western showmanship. Number 5, Caden Jordan from Olean with Nonstop Nimble. Number 4, Erica Skuse, Luke at Mayella. Number 3, Kylie Rower from Salamanca with Sadie. Number 2, Taylor Griffin with Pinch My Class from Cuba. And the number 1 entrant was from Springville, who was a late ad, and I don't have the full name here, so my apologies.
We'll get that for the performance classes.
Yeah.
Though, so we have the name for that.
Yeah, the last entrant that we saw was the number 1 entrant that came through. So we're going to set that aside to make sure we make sure
we get
the
that
name is all
person's
set
name.
because a lot of people, Beth, are watching.
Oh yeah.
To watch for their families make the show, and they can't come in because of the COVID restrictions.
Can't come in. Right.
And that said, you've been following the rules. We've been following the rules, and so have all the spectators. So they're here so that others can enjoy the animals right now. Here comes Captain Chris. If you can get the name Ella Underberg. Okay, thank you very much. Captain Chris gave us the name.
Yeah, pulling in here today, just really amazing how everything looks great and, following all the restrictions and the bathrooms. I mean, they've done a phenomenal job to pull this off and looks great.
Well, I'm glad we got Ella's name in there, and because it's, as I said, some of the entrants have been predetermined for the last couple of weeks. Others are coming in as we open the show and get everything prepared. And Jessica Underberg, who is the CEO of the fair, and her team, including Holly and Kirby and Becca and Paula, have been working hard to organize all this because there's so much more activity just outside the showplex as these horses and these exhibitors come in.
Right.
So we're going to get ready.
Yeah. So now we're going to do the walk trots, which is my favorite.
Walk, jog,
These little nuggets.
showmanship. First 3 to work will be Paige Sims, Ethan Hoffman, and Kelsey Rower.
So you can see Duke changed over there with the pattern.
Yes, with the pattern, as we mentioned earlier, in the arena itself, where those orange cones are, moves a little bit so that the...
Yeah, it gets easier for the walk trotters. The seniors definitely will be a harder pattern than the juniors, than the novice, than the walk trotters. So, it's best to keep it easy and not overwhelm them when they're getting started,
So this age group, what age do you think we're looking at here?
Typically 12 and under. It could be 10 and under, but
Yeah.
I'm going to say 12 and under. in a breed show, it'll be 10 and under. They make you move up if you're
Which
older
is
than that.
significant because, the age, a 12-year-old is short attention span, so a lot of discipline required.
Well, it depends what age you are that you start riding at, too. Maybe you started riding at 11. You didn't. Others, they ride at 5. They only want to do walk trot. They want to go right into it. So but it's a great division. And it's always one of my favorites, the walk trot. And you cannot replace a walk trot horse because the safer the horse, the better. And when you got an outstanding walk trot horse, that horse is worth so much. Taking care of your little one.
What kind of horse do you have?
Half Arab, half quarter horse.
Half Arab, half quarter horse.
So
Okay.
she looks like a stock breed, but she moves like an Arab.
Yeah.
So she's, the Arabs are known for beauty, and the stock horses are like a working horse. So I got the best of both worlds. Growing up, we had quarter horses. So
Well, our entrant here, Paige Sims, has a horse named Given an Invitation to Dream.
and she did an outstanding job, and the horse too. Look how calm that horse is.
Yeah, following along.
Yep.
And each horse, as we said earlier, Beth, has its own sort of personality.
Mm-hmm.
That one, its head down a little bit, but maybe just because it's following along with its exhibitor.
The size of exhibitor, yeah. That horse is bringing its head down to.
So now our next exhibitor is in, number 122. This is Ethan Hoffman from Hinsdale.
So he's from the Cat County. Great to see all these counties. Who knows, maybe this is something they'll keep doing, once a year, which would be nice.
I do think that having this up on the stream for people to see live or posted gives you an opportunity, and even the exhibitor, to see how they're showing their horse, so they can watch the video and say, I did this right or I did that
absolutely
wrong, and maybe they can learn from it.
And the other good thing is the kids that are at home that aren't quite ready yet, or maybe not of age of 4-H, because I believe it's 8 years old, they can be at home watching and getting tips and, learning from this too. So it's really a unique thing to have it live.
And what we're watching is the Judge Duke Dygert. Take a look, but our crew, we have a lot of interesting camera angles here. We've got that, with Chris and Jeff Martin today, and Andy, Joe, and Chatham. We're seeing, there's the horse and the look of it itself, and every once in a while we'll get the wide shot there. So we're seeing how the exhibitor is leading the horse on.
Yep.
And look how they've got their hand on that bridle there, to make sure that the horse is in place.
Yep, and
Thank you,
what's
Ethan.
neat too is you'll
Next
see
to
in the
work will be
background the
back
other
number
one's getting ready,
146, Kelsey
practicing and
Rower
getting
of
ready to go
Salamanca,
next.
New
So.
York. On deck, Crystal White, and in the hole, Marley Ogilvie.
So we thank Ethan Hoffman there, and now we're welcoming Kelsey Rower, entrant 146, with Sadie.
Super impressed with these novice horses. Look at this one too. Just, tell me what to do and I'll do it.
Now we pick up the pace a little bit, coming
Yep.
up, trotting up toward the judge.
Nice and straight you want to be.
Well, and what we noticed yesterday with Larry Thurber, Beth, and you'll take note, we just saw there in the shot that we just had that Andy punched up, Kelsey was trotting exactly within the leg rate of the horse.
Yeah.
Right, left, and the horse's legs are following exactly as if it was choreographed.
Yep, like synchronized, yeah.
And that's something I learned yesterday that is very impressive, because that doesn't happen in an instant either.
No, and what's nice about it too is, I heard Larry say a couple things. You don't know why, but there's certain horses you're attracted to, whether it's the braiding or just the look of it, because they have it all together, and I think that's important. And just that little movement could make it off if they weren't going at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's pleasing to the eye.
So now we do the turn.
Yep, and you want to be on the back legs, on the haunches on there. And she's walking nice and straight.
Thank you, Kelsey. Next to work will be back number 151, Crystal
Okay.
White of Little Valley, New York. On deck, 166, Marley Ogilvie, and in the hole, Ryland Wilder.
Look at this little peanut coming
So
up.
we thank Kelsey, and here comes Crystal White. Now, Crystal was with us yesterday, and interesting because Crystal interesting because Crystal is so young,
So
and
young.
so little.
And this is where I said it's so important to have such a great horse.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, she's a peanut, and that horse is just, look at that horse's head to her right now.
Yeah.
Just bringing it down, listening to her. I mean, it's so important. I mean, it's a 1,200-pound animal.
Right.
At least.
And
I'm going to say, what, 60-pound child? I mean,
Probably.
Yeah.
But this young lady has incredible discipline, young Crystal. And there
She
is
really does.
Being addressed by the judge. You wonder what's being discussed there.
Well, if I know Duke, he's asking her, oh, what's your horse's name and how long, getting really involved and making her feel comfortable. But look at this opportunity at such a young age to be able to control an animal of that size.
Yep.
And, just the work ethic in such a little kid. It's crazy. Because this doesn't, just happen.
Yeah, this is, if there's any story to be told from the Western New York Youth and Ag Bonanza, it's kind of all summed up here in what we're looking at right now.
What we're looking at right now, and not for anything, but that horse is worth about $1 million right now, because if I have my baby out there and that's what that horse is doing, you never want to sell that one.
Yeah.
Look at that horse, right?
And now it's taking the lead. And Crystal's going to walk forward.
Yeah.
But for as wonderfully cute as this is, Duke has to make sure that he's even Steven with his presentation.
She
with
still
all
has
the
to be on
ages.
pattern.
Yeah.
I mean, it's adorable. We all know that.
Next to work
But you
will
are
be
judged
back
on the
number
pattern,
166, Marley Ogilvy. On deck, Rylan Wilder, and in the hole, Olivia Borer.
So Crystal White we just saw, and now we're bringing in Marley Ogilvy, number 166, and Marley's horse is named Buddy. Buddy's going to take a trot right up to the judge.
Come on, buddy. There we go.
There he's moving now.
He's moving. It's warm out today.
Yeah. He's going right up there.
And with these showmanship classes too, like you just said, Duke still has to judge it. Sometimes these kids are so good that it does have to come down to every little thing, because you got to pick a winner, and that's just where it is at.
And Duke and you have done this for many years, and you're looking at these exhibitors come through, and you're looking at the horse, and in some cases they may know the exhibitor. You may know them because of your connection
absolutely.
to the fair.
Yep. It's funny. I did the I guess it was the Cat County Fair a couple of years ago, and those kids are sharp out there, and I'm okay. Some kids will come out with the fancy outfits, and that's great too. But I'm okay with just the jeans and the shirt, and you know how to control your horse. So I really don't judge it on that. I like a pretty outfit, but you also have to be in control of your horse and know what you're doing. And as long as you're neat and clean, you don't need that fancy outfit, in my opinion.
Right. Well, and some of those outfits
Thank you, Marley.
can be expensive too.
Next to work will be back number 178,
Right. The Marley we
Rylan
thank.
Wilder. On deck will be back number 210, Olivia Borer. And in the hole, Kaylee Schnicker.
And I want to mention that too. For any of the families that are out there watching now, it is an expensive hobby, but you can get a lot of stuff used. And the one nice thing about 4-H is everyone's out there to help. We've loaned tons of stuff out, and you can just get a pair of black jeans and a black shirt, get a helmet, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
So it's important to know that, we are all in this together. They've had tax swaps and stuff that you can get stuff really reasonable to start out.
And this is Ryland Wilder with with the Ryland's horse Jesse's Memory. And like you mentioned, there are opportunities to mix and match, and if something is run its course with a particular family, it can
absolutely
change out to a different family.
And the other thing is too, you don't necessarily have to own your own horse. There are a lot of farms now. Joanne Campbell comes to mind because she's part of Erie County, but she leases horses to kids. So you lease them for the show season.
You can get and
that's affordable.
And that's a good thing, because if there's an opportunity there for the child to learn, but then it's decided maybe this isn't the right thing, you're not making a commitment.
I was just going to get to that point too. You go out and buy a horse and your kid loses interest next year. then what?
Yeah.
So, and it's a good way to start, and it's, a little more financially easy to obtain than going out and buying everything.
Yeah. So Ryland Wilder's horse is named Jesse's
Thank you,
memory.
Ryland. Next to work will be back number 210, Olivia Borer of Freedom, New York. On deck, Callie Schnicker, and in the hole, our final exhibitor of this class, Oakley Schultz.
So Olivia Borer coming in next with What a Hoot Impulse, the name of Olivia's horse.
Another outstanding horse, just following its handler. And you could see there all she did was move her feet.
Yeah, I just
and
saw
the
that.
horse did the same thing.
So they
just
in a training situation that you've seen, are there verbal commands that you reinforce?
There
with
is,
the horse?
every people that train horses, the actual trainers, they all do it differently. But like for our mare, for instance, when you ride her, you could be at the lope. If you say whoa once, she'll go down to the jog.
Right.
Whoa twice, she'll go down to the walk. So it's just really on what trainer. But with the showmanship, you move your feet, they should move theirs. So all she had to do was point her foot, and that horse moved its hoof. It's pretty cool.
And in this case, we have 2 hoofs in the front that are one color and a couple hoofs in the back that are a different color.
Yeah.
Which, the markings on the animal, for me, looking at the animal, I'm noticing some of the colorations.
Thank you, Olivia. Next to work will be back number 252, Callie Schnittger, and in the hole will be back number 271, our final horse in this class, Oakley Schultz.
So we say goodbye to Olivia Borer there, and now Kaylee Schnittger's coming in with Caryville Made Me is the name of the horse. But with the colors and the horses themselves, it makes it memorable. Because you can, as a judge, I would think, Beth, that you're looking at so many animals, they all tend to...
So that's funny you say that, because our mare is bay with black legs. Our foal is bay with 3 white legs, a blaze, and half a blue eye. So where did that come from, right?
Half a blue eye.
Half a blue eye.
Okay.
So it's really cool because you'll remember that, correct, right?
I think so.
Yeah, we're hoping. So, but it's, the coloring and the markings are really, really neat.
So Kaylee's coming to us from Kilbuck, New York.
What county is Kilbuck?
Kilbuck is in Cattaraugus,
okay.
yeah. And
all right.
Unless I missed something yesterday, I think this is Kaylee. Kaylee's one of the exhibitors that we're seeing for the first time today.
All right. Yeah, all the names are starting to sound familiar to you, huh?
Several of the entrants were here yesterday in the English class. Similar in style for what we're seeing with the walk,
with the showmanship,
with the showmanship, and
yep.
But a different dress and a different dimension, because the Western, just the Western feel is so all American,
right? And when we get into the performance classes, that's when you'll really see the difference in the gaits compared to the English division.
Yeah.
This is a little more relaxed. My style.
Yeah, and most showmanship.
Thank you, Callie. Next to work is our final horse in this class, back number 271, Oakley Schultz of Perrysburg, New York.
So
After this horse, we will clear the pen and get ready for our rail classes.
So we're starting with the equitation. Okay.
Yeah, equitation will be coming up a little bit.
Yeah.
So we say goodbye to Kaylee and welcome Oakley. And this is another entrant who was not here yesterday, from what I believe. And Oakley's horse is named Lady Paradise. Oakley in from Perrysburg, New York.
Nice. And another gentleman.
Yep.
Look at that.
So this young man is taking his horse right over to the judge. And again, another young person,
Yes. Yeah.
getting trained in these disciplines. As Beth, as you know, you have to be up early and handle the needs of that animal.
Absolutely.
Every day of the year.
So looking at this horse, you talked about markings. I've judged this horse before. I just remembered it as soon as he came down with his face. Yeah. Just a really, really neat horse. Stopped right on a dime for that kid.
Still
yeah.
Right now.
Yep. Now you can see, compared to the seniors, and now you're into the walk trotters. You know, the walk trotters are still a little unsure
Yeah.
of where they should move. They're still looking at the judge for,
Yeah. They look
you
at
know,
that judge for and then they cross in
guidance.
front. Yeah.
Yeah. Where you'll see the seniors, they'll rip right through their pattern because they've been doing it for so
Well,
long.
they're used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where these kids still, you know, they're doing a great job. They're just a little bit slower at it because they're still like, wait, should I be here? Should I not be here?
And with that, you know, the seniors and the younger people, I would believe that they all connect with each other in the barns and talk about what they did right
Absolutely.
or what they did
Yep.
wrong.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny, they talk about it before the class too. They're like, wait a minute, which side of the cone are we supposed to be on? And what's funny about it is if the first one goes in and does it wrong, a lot of them will because they follow each other.
Thank you. I believe that does conclude our walk jog showmanship this morning. We are going to get our pen ready. We will start back here in the ring at 10:40. We're going to start back here in the ring starting with senior equitation. Senior equitation, we'll start back here in the showplex at 10:40.
So we're going to take a short break here, Beth Lake,
Okay.
and then we'll come back and get
We'll
the
read
names
that.
of who are
Great.
going to show.
Great.
Well, we are live from Hamburg, New York, with the Western New York Youth and
Hey,
Ag
everyone
Bonanza.
watching.
See, Beth, say hi. Say hi to somebody.
Hello,
right now.
everyone.
There you go. Beth's saying hello to
Bright
all our
sunny
friends and
day.
family.
Yes.
We'll be back right after this.
Milk and cheese and yogurt make me sing every day, 'cause milk is amazing. Drink milk to grow up with strong bones. 3 times a day, vitamin D and calcium. So drink it with chocolate, put it on your pizza. How about berries? It's always a treat. Milk is amazing.
Hello, I'm Ross Salvatore, wishing all the youth competing in the Egg Bonanza good luck. I'm sorry I can't be with you in Hamburg. Remember, hard work and good showmanship pays off. I hope to see you and your families soon at Russell's Steaks, Chops, and more.
All right, we are back live. Beth Lake here with John DeShulo, and happy to have you joining us on Ustream. We're waiting now for Kirby Digert to give us the names of the individuals who placed in the last competition that we just saw. And once we do that, we're going to take another short break to take a pause in our web stream as they reset the arena for the equitation, the new word that I've learned,
Yeah,
Beth.
so equitation's on the rider. So
And that's the
we'll be coming up with that.
That's
yes.
the next set of show that we'll be able to see. And the great, as I call it, the Zamboni for the arena is now, I
Yes.
hear it revving up off to the side.
It's important to have good footing for these horses. That is for sure.
And that's important because the clay and the muck that's here will be turned and groomed so that the animals have a nice
A soft
level
cushion
feel.
to come down
Yeah.
on. You know, some of these horses will have
Results
shoes
of our
on.
walk jog showmanship
Some will
this
not.
morning, coming
Here
in
we come.
5th place. Once we announce the placings, if you could head on over to the awards area by the exit gate. 5th place will be back number 151, Crystal White of Little Valley, New York. 4th place will go to back number 122, Ethan Hoffman. 3rd place, back number 178, Ryland Wilder.
You don't have to do the names.
2nd place will go to back number 74, Paige Sims of Eden, New York. And 1st place will go to back number 210, Olivia Borer of Freedom, New York. Congratulations to all of our showmanship exhibitors this morning. We are going to start senior equitation here in the ring at 10:40.
All right, so Olivia Borer is the number one place in that.
Number one place in
Yeah.
that one. Okay.
Yeah, so Beth Lake, we're going to take a short break
All
here on the
right.
web. Beth will be back, I'll be back, and so will you as the
We'll
Western.
be back with a senior equitation.
That's it. We'll be right back. Stay with us.